Hey, good day, everyone. 13 life rules to keep you motivated. I think there's nothing more important than to keep yourself motivated. I don't think it makes sense to be looking outside yourself for being motivated. What I've noticed is the people that have been the most successful in my career in sales and training literally tens of thousands of people, the ones that are motivated, internally motivated, are the ones that end up winning. The ones that need to be motivated, generally they wash out. So I just want to really just get across to you how important it is for you to be internally motivated, to figure out what it is that you really want out of your life, where you want to be in a year, 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20 years. Really get a clear picture of what you want. And when you know exactly what you want, it's much easier to stay motivated, even though you're going to have setbacks and challenges. Everybody does. Nobody can get away from doing that. You're going to have them. It's part of the deal. You have to know in advance how you're going to react to those challenges, because they're coming, I guarantee you. But they can't stop you from succeeding if you don't let up and you persevere. So 13 life rules to keep you motivated. We all have rules we live by. Some of them are inherent, such as smiling when walking past a stranger or shaking someone's hand when introducing yourself. But others we have to develop over time until they become a habit. Good habits practiced daily can make all the difference in your life. We asked members of the Young Entrepreneur Council what rules and mantras they live by. Which would you add to your list? Number 1. Life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. That is really true. The one thing you don't have control over what's going to come your way and what kind of issues and challenges you're going to have, but you always have control over your reaction to it. The life advice I go back to most often is, life is 10% what happens to me and 90% how I react to it. This quote has guided me in both my personal and professional lives, and it works because it's true for all people. We all face challenges, but we all have the choice to respond in a positive, constructive, or a negative manner. Number 2, give more than you take. It's really that simple. Give more in the world of your time, your money, your talent than you consume or take. It creates such an abundance of experience, connections, and wealth, but never when those are the leading drivers. Number 3, under-promise and over-deliver. This is really important. Nothing worse than over-promising and under-delivering. If you want to lose your credibility, that is the surest way to do it. So make sure you give, you give more than people expect. My father grew up on a farm. This is not me, by the way. None of these are. My father grew up on a farm in a small rural community where you build a reputation in either direction very quickly. He taught me that you're much better off under-promising and over-delivering than not meeting people's expectations. Most of us do business in very small business communities and would also be best served by erring on the side of exceeding expectations rather than not meeting them. And when you get in a habit of doing that, what's going to happen is you're going to create a reputation where people are going to want to do business with you or be in business with you. And I think that's really important if you want to succeed long term. That's Doug Bend. Number 4, we aren't rich enough to buy cheap. This is really big. I think I figured this out much later. I grew up, we were basically poor growing up and a very limited budget. So we didn't usually buy things that were high quality. And what I found out later is that we aren't rich enough to buy cheap things. Cheap things don't last. They break down, and replacing them ultimately costs more time and money than buying high-quality goods to start with. This also applies to behavior. It's easier to do things the first time rather than to retroactively fix a shoddy job. So if you don't have time to do it right the first time, how are you going to have enough time to fix it once you screw it up? Do it right the first time. Number 5, keep it simple, stupid. One of the most simple life lessons I learned from my father at the young age is to keep it simple, stupid. The KISS principle has been a guiding light for me, as I often remind myself when things seem overwhelming or overly complex to step back and keep it simple. Usually you can break things into smaller parts or simplify a problem to achieve your desired outcome. You know, one of the things that I found in building my business, the simpler a thing is, the easier it is to have larger numbers of people do that thing. You know, like if you were going to become a doctor or an attorney, there's not as many of those because what you have to do, it's complicated. You know, the study, the schooling, all the things you have to do to get there, passing the exams, etc., is very complicated and difficult. I mean, and no question about it. So, you know, what you want to do is, if you, like for me in building my business, what I always worked at was to keep everything that I presented to potential clients and potential people that I was trying to recruit into my business, I try to keep it as simple and as straightforward as possible, because the easier something is for people to understand, the easier it is for them to take advantage of it and go forward. When they don't understand something, people, what they're always going to end up doing is saying, you know, I like to think about it. They're really saying, I don't really understand what you're offering. It doesn't make sense to me, and I'm afraid of making a mistake. That's what they're actually saying. So make sure you keep it simple. Really always try to simplify. Less is more. Number 6, keep business and personal separate. As an entrepreneur, it's so easy to mix up business and personal, but it just causes mistakes and headaches that can impact both aspects of your life in a bad way. It's better to keep those completely separate in terms of communication, social presence, money, and daily tasks. Yeah, it's very difficult sometimes when when you're doing business, especially with somebody that, you know, as a friend or a buddy. If things don't go right, then it can injure the relationship. Number 7, obey the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. This is just a simple thing that is so true, and so many people disobey this rule. I never get tired of this positive way to look at every interaction I have, whether it's my family, coworkers, or clients. I put their interests first. It's not about what you can get from others, but what you give to them that makes you a pleasant person to deal with. The fact that the golden rule is still relevant is a measure of its power. You know, one of the things that I found, instead of trying to get things from people, what I've always tried to do is to find out what people really want and figure out a way to help them get that. And through doing that, what I found is I get way more than I could ever anticipate getting, because people really appreciate that. When you go out of your way to help them get what they want, whatever that might be, it really makes a huge difference. That's where you get referrals, lots and lots of referrals. And then you're in the sales business like I am. You live off referrals. It makes life so much easier when a happy client, you know, refers you to somebody. It makes the next transaction almost effortless. 8, keep moving, keep playing, and keep dreaming. I constantly refer to these words because they remind me of the importance and power of momentum. To achieve your full potential, you have to stay energized. This encompasses everything from caring about your health and visiting the gym to staying innovative and ambitious by vigorously exercising the mind. You know, that's really true. You know, when you have, one of the things that I learned how to do, I used to be in the jewelry business when I first got out of college, and I worked for this small regional company. I opened up 3 stores for them over a 5-year period. And I learned when things are going well, that's when you step it up. That's when you do more. You know, when it's busy and you take advantage of the seasons too, because in that jewelry business, it was seasonal. So like at Christmas time, right after Thanksgiving, all the way through Christmas, it was super busy. And so I worked longer hours. I got after it. I did more. I stayed late. I got there early. I really, worked hard to take advantage of that time period, because you don't ever know when you're gonna have a lull coming, right? So when you got things moving, what you really should do if you want to go to the next level is step it up, do more. Number 9, work to live, don't live to work. I can easily work just for the sake of working, but I sure hope that toward the end of my life, I don't look back on years of time spent in an office or in front of my laptop working. I want to look back on relationships and lives that I've been a part of. This contributes more to my overall happiness than checking off my never-ending to-do list. One other thing that I think that's, and this may be helpful for some of you here, I learned this, it's been a while since I learned it, so thank God I learned it because it's really made a huge impact on my life. Instead of working hard to acquire things, work hard to acquire experiences. Instead of spending money on something shiny and new, spend it on a trip that you probably never would, to experience something you've never experienced with, especially with your family, especially with loved ones. When you look back on life, it's all those fun things you did together, those exciting adventures that you had, the places you visited, the experiences while you were there, the meals you had. Focus on experiences and less on things. If you do, I promise you'll be much happier. Number 10, do it right or don't do it. This approach guides every decision I make. If I don't think we can do it better than anyone else and feel a strong passion for it, I decline the opportunity. Life's just too short to spend time doing things that you aren't proud of and don't enjoy and aren't going to put your full focus behind. During the years, this has saved us from many good opportunities, allowing the bandwidth for great ones. I love that. If you're going to do it right or don't do it. Do it the best of your ability. Prepare. One of the things I think that's really critical is preparation. You want more confidence in your life, you want more confidence in your career, prepare like mad. The harder you prepare, the more confident you're going to become. The more confident you are, the more people want to do business with you, and the more they want to follow you, especially if you're in a leadership position. Number 11, favors are stronger currency than money. Like, favors are a stronger currency than money, whether it's in the personal, professional sphere. Non-monetary help, gifts build much more meaningful long-term relationships and have a greater positive relationship impact than those that are clearly tied to a financial amount. It shows you truly care about someone and have taken the time to learn about them. It's not easy or even always possible. It's something I try to keep in mind. One of the things I do is when somebody needs help, I have no problem help. Somebody asks me for help, has direction, advice, or whatever, career advice, or how to move their business, or anything like that. I always step up and help, and there's no monetary gain, but so many amazing things have happened to me and for me as a result of having that kind of focus. Number 12, learn to enjoy the discomfort of change. George Santayana said, to be interested in the changing seasons is a happier state of mind than to be hopelessly in love with spring. That's very good. Far too many of our problems, whether in business relationships or day-to-day life, come from clinging to the past. By enjoying the discomfort of change, we can open ourselves up to see things from a new perspective and to be happier while doing it. Well, the one thing for sure that you're going to always experience is change. It's just constant. As long as you're going to be alive, things are going to be changing. The weather's changing. The politics is changing. Our bodies are changing as we're aging. Our children are changing as they're growing. It's just this different phase of your life. Most people change jobs 5 to 7 times in their lifetime, so they're going to be changing jobs, meeting new people. You need to be okay with that. You need to embrace change because it's part of life and it's never going to stop until you're 6 feet under. And finally, 13, think, what are you trying to accomplish? My father told me to always ask yourself, what are you trying to accomplish? This is something I try to ask every time I start a design or get stuck on a project, even in my personal life. It is a way to pull yourself outside of a situation and make the best decision. So, with your business right now, I'm assuming that you're in a business and you're trying to become more successful. What are you trying to accomplish that? Is it a lifestyle? What is it? You need to know what that is. Because if you don't know what you're trying to accomplish, when you run into a challenge, it's going to discombobulate you. You're going to get distracted. But when you know what you're trying to accomplish, you're going to be able to keep moving forward regardless of the distractions and regardless of the challenges.